Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Am I audible? Yeah. Nice. Either people are using chat box to answer. I think you can only, yes. Good evening, everyone. So we are staying here for just few minutes. I think few more candidates will join, and we are just staying here for 2-3 minutes, and then after that we'll start the session. Will it be okay? Just 2-3 minutes. Yeah. So I'm putting a timer for 3 minutes. I'm putting a timer for 3 minutes, right? So we'll start this session after 3 minutes. Good evening once again, everyone. So we are starting the session. Are you there? Yeah, first of all, I need to understand how many of you have free tier accounts. Just say yes or no. So we already spoke last time that we must have free tier account. Everyone must have a free tier account to start the trading. So, okay, Sumit, you don't have. Vinod Chauhan, you have. Yeah, please, respond, please. Vijay Pal. Yes. Yeah, we already spoke in the first class. Prabhat, no. Okay. Okay, no issue. So it's a very simple procedure to start or register yourself in AWS free tier account. So you can just do one thing. You go to free tier account and register yourself. It's very easy. So I'm not explaining the again thing, but if you just write AWS free tier account, this link will appear. You will see this kind of screen. You will see such kind of screen, right? And you can create a new account. If you create a new free tier account, so this screen will appear. You can fill all the necessary informations, and during the creation, you have to share your debit card or credit card to ensure that you are, means you're a genuine person, and, or you can say the human being is creating this. It is not being created by a robot. Okay, so by the way, number of things, they basically feel that you must share your debit card or bank details, but they will not charge your discretion from your debit card or credit card, right? So they don't charge anything from your card without your permission. So if you even don't pay, even if in free tier you have minor bill, and if you don't pay, they do not use your debit or credit card details, right? So without any hesitation, you can create your free tier account. So guys, the first of all, we need to understand the agenda of the class. We need to understand the agenda of the class. The first of all, we'll start with the cloud computing. What is the cloud computing? What are the benefits? Benefits of cloud computing. Cloud computing. Then we already spoke about last time. We already studied about how to create an EC2 instance. So today we'll talk about how we can use a different methods to take the remote. I think the various methods to take remote of an instance, or you're going to say EC2 instance. We have two different kind of instances on two different operating systems. Sometimes you're using Linux instances, sometimes you're using Windows instances. In Linux instances, we use SSH protocol to take remote, while we are using RDP in case of Windows instances. So we will learn how to use these protocols to take the remote, because we are using different and various methods. You can use PowerShell, you can use Linux machine to take the Linux remote, or you may use PuTTY, you may use mobile stuff. So we have various methods. So we need to understand how we can use. Even we have a Cloud Shell in AWS. So if you want to use a Cloud Shell, how you would use Cloud Shell. So guys, we will learn all these methods one by one, right? So these are the three topics. First of all, we'll start, and after that, then we will start virtualization. What is a virtualization? What is a virtualization? Right. Just a minute. Okay. So guys, I was talking about these topics. Then the virtualization. Virtualization is another topic, and data center virtualization. Then we need to understand what is a container, or you can say container versus virtual machine. So containers, we will talk about the containers here. Then we can compare containers versus virtual machines. Containers versus virtual machine. I can say VM. VM is virtual machine. So instead of container, I should have written containerization, right? So once we complete all these things, everything cannot be done in a day. So these are basically the sequence. We will follow this sequence. Then we will talk about global AWS global infrastructure, right? AWS global infrastructure, AWS global cloud infrastructure. So in this, we have various components like region, availability zone, local zone, wavelength zone, edge locations. We will understand how all these things are working within global infrastructure of AWS. So guys, maybe all these topics cannot be done in a day. So these topics will definitely take a couple of sessions to complete. But these, these are the basics. So once we complete all these, so some of them are a little practical because the various method to take the remote of the instances or instance. So this is a totally practical. So you must have your AWS free tier account. So by the way, the introduction of cloud computing and the benefits of cloud computing totally theoretical. So we need to understand, means while we have already data centers, we were running our infrastructure very comfortably and everything was running very smoothly. So why it is needed to have actually or to change the platform, what advantages you are getting over the cloud, so that you won't get on your physical data center. So we will try to just compare and we will count those benefits, right? By the way, we have a number of benefits. We have a very large number of benefits, but we'll try to explain in through some limited benefits that we can finish the lecture in a limited time, right? So once this global infrastructure is completed, then we'll talk about the list of AWS services. We have the number of services, but we will take only the services that is related to our course or our infrastructure. We'll talk about some standard and important services. Then after that, once the list of services is completed, the introduction to the services completed, after this topic, we will take our first service in detail, EC2. EC2 is what? Elastic Compute Cloud. So this is the first service we will take here. Elastic Compute Cloud. So this is the first. So to reach particularly till this level, maybe we will take a little time, definitely not in single session, maybe a 2 session or 3 session, but these are very important topics that we need to cover. Is it clear, everyone? I think you're listening me. In the beginning, I'm just keeping the length of the class 90 minutes, but very soon we will increase it to 120 minutes. Will it be okay, Vijaypal? Right. So couple of sessions will be in 90 minutes, and after that, so can I take the classes daily from Monday to Thursday? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So these 4 days we can take classes regularly, and we need to finish this, the basic part of this cloud computing. Right. So today is Monday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So these 4 days we will take classes regularly without any gap. And after that, because if you are taking the classes regularly, we can finish this the basic part very quickly. There should not be any gap. Actually, these are not big topics, but it's really important. So guys, I'm coming here. So introduction to cloud computing, and for that, what I'm doing, I'm just going to share. Let me tell you. Networkings, and this is my PPT, right? Okay, I'm here and I'm starting with this here, cloud computing. So this topic is a little theoretical, but it's really very important. yes, these lectures are being recorded. So once the class is over, these lectures we will upload in our LMS. So you can access later on anytime. Right, Prabhat? Okay, guys. So cloud computing. So introduction to the cloud computing. In the easiest term, cloud computing defines storing and accessing data and programs over the internet from a remote location. Or you can say cloud computing term used for delivery of hosted services over the internet. So what is cloud computing? Delivery of hosted services over the internet. So this is the very simple definition of cloud computing. One thing is clear, without internet, there is no cloud computing. So internet is a common technology we are using. Internet is necessary in case of cloud computing. And if you host your services over the cloud, over the internet, that becomes cloud. The cloud could be private, cloud could be public, cloud could be hybrid, right? But the cloud is only possible with the help of internet. But if you talk about AWS has their own definitions. So by AWS, it refers to the on-demand delivery of IT resources and applications via the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing model. They are saying you will pay only for the used resources. As per pay-as-you-go pricing model, AWS charges on per hour basis. And let's say if you use resource for 2 hours, AWS will only charge for those 2 hours. Now, this way you can control billing amount. If services are not required, you can stop those services or resources anytime. So we will see it in the detail later on. It means you will pay only for the used resources. If you are not using resources, if your resources are stopped, or if your services are not being used, it means you will not pay for those resources. This is a very good thing, number one. It means everything in your hands. So you can manage the cost of your running infrastructure. So I was using in the definition hosted services. I was saying that the delivery of hosted services over the internet is known as cloud. So what is a hosted services? So what is the difference between the hosted and the cloud services? The cloud services is a type of internet-based cloud computing where you can deliver IT infrastructure as well as software application related services. So on the cloud computing, you cannot only use softwares, you can create even infrastructure, means you can create virtual machines, you can have routers, you can have connectivity, you can have networks, you can have firewalls, everything you can create and manage over there. But that you are managing over the cloud using internet in your vendor's data center, let's say in your AWS data center. So before arrival of cloud computing, you used to deliver the software application services from your own physical environment. Earlier, we were using our own data centers, physical data center. Earlier, we had no concept of cloud computing. And therefore, you can see the two types of the services now we are talking about, the hosted services and the cloud services. So cloud services is very clear. It means we have a vendor, it's like Azure, we have a AWS, we have a Google, we have a VMware. So these people having their own data centers, and they are basically giving us to use actually their data center, and we are paying for the resources what we are using on their data centers, right? So they are providing infrastructure, they are providing softwares, they are providing the storage services, they are providing database services. So means whatever we are using, we are paying for their services, right? So that comes under the cloud computing. I'll tell you what is the public cloud, what is the private cloud. So generally, public cloud platform, AWS, Azure, Google, VMware, all these are public cloud. Means anybody can open account and means you can use online over the internet. But if you're talking about the private cloud is your own cloud, right? So you are the owner of that cloud. So you have the access of that cloud only. Means if let's say you are a company ABC, let's say you are a company ABC and you create your own cloud, it means it is only restricted to you. So everyone on the internet cannot be used. They will not use your infrastructure because it is not public, it's a private. So this is the major difference. But number of things are there. I'll explain later on. But what is a hosted services? So in this particular technology, if I'm talking about the hosted services, in this technology, you configure and maintain infrastructure, and you configure and maintain software application at your own environment. Own environment means in your physical data center. Let's say you have a physical data center. So you will configure infrastructure, you will design software applications, you will launch in your own data center or in your own environment or at service provider premises. Sometimes we purchase privately infrastructure and which is restricted to us. I was talking about the private one. So if you are hosting your software infrastructure in your own environment, that comes under hosted services, and access of these services to your end are often provided through a direct connection. That direct connection, and this can require internet connectivity. Internet connectivity, of course, is required. So this is the major difference. By the way, now, because the number of things are there, I do not want to put you more in details or in theory. So now I want to jump on this topic, benefit of cloud computing. So why we are using cloud computing? What are the benefits are there? We were happy already earlier with our own data center. Though, what is the need to basically migrate our physical data center to this cloud computing? So we have a number of advantages. Today, we see number of cloud computing platforms are available. For example, AWS, Google Cloud, Azure. So all small, medium, and even large business houses find some significant benefits to switch on cloud computing because of their less cost, high availability, and easy deployment of services. Remember, cloud computing is not a single piece of technology. Please try to understand, it's not a single piece of technology, and hence we can't limit its benefit, right? So number of benefits are there. So in coming topics, we would see different kind of cloud computing, such as software as service, platform as service, and infrastructure as service. So during the explanation of list of AWS services, I will explain what are the software as services, what are the past platform as service, and infrastructure as a services. So almost every organization wants to use cloud computing, benefits either partially or fully. But what those benefits are there? We'll talk about this. According to one survey, it was conducted by Forrester. Forrester is basically a company in United States. They usually do surveys. So they did one survey, and they find that at the end of this year, the cloud computing market can touch $200 billion business. $200 billion business. Can you believe $200 billion? This is not a small amount. This is a big amount around the world. The business is expecting more than $200 billion on this cloud computing. So, and in coming time, at the end of maybe 2028 or 30, we are expecting that the 70 to 80% the business of this entire world will be migrated over cloud computing. So in coming time, you would see the people are running their businesses over the cloud computing. तो एक बात तो ध्यान रख लेना कि आज बिजनेस छोटा हो, बड़ा हो और कैसा भी हो, वो थोड़े दिनों में you will see people are using over the cloud computing, right? Let me see, anybody is from outside India? Because if I would like to speak some Hindi, I think the last time I got some messages that if you would say a few lines in Hindi, it will be easier for us to we will feel more close. Right. Hence, yes, hence you are here. Okay. Great. Hence, what I'm speaking, it's clear to you? Right. Very perfect. So I'm continuing in English, right? So yeah, now I'm saying the big player of cloud computing. We have a number of companies. They are rigorously creating new clouds like AWS. Some clouds are public, some clouds are private. So means everyone trying to actually open a new cloud platform. So the company like Amazon, Intel, Microsoft, HP, Alibaba, they are making huge investment in cloud computing, right? Amazon Web Services is a public cloud platform, and it is based on pay-as-you-go pricing model, and it is a popular one. No doubt, they having share more than 62% in cloud computing. They are number one in cloud computing. No, there is no alternate of that AWS. They having more than 200 fully featured services in their platform. And if you're talking about the major and minor services, more than 1,500 services are there. So this is a big number. This is not a small number. It's a really, really big number. It's a unimaginable number because no one person can claim that he knows this platform completely, because this platform has the services related to artificial intelligence, security, machine learning, IoT, AVR, right? VR and database infrastructure. So almost every vertical, every major vertical you can find in this AWS. Okay, so sorry. So number of things are there. I'm really excited to explain. It's really a big thing. So you have to understand how actually why businesses are attracted to migrate on AWS or in any public cloud. By the way, I'm talking about benefits. So first of all, the few benefits I listed down. For example, the flexibility, disaster recovery, software updates, control capital expenditures, stop guessing capacity, data accessibility, security, competitiveness, unlimited storage. Wow. So I'm starting with the flexibility, right? What is a flexibility? So as the name is defining flexibility, something is there which is flexible. So in what terms we can say the cloud is flexible? The cloud computing is the best for businesses. Of course, where you see the regular changes in the resources requirement or fluctuating bandwidth of demands according to resources can be scaled up and scaled down. Means if you need, you can increase number of machines. If you need, you can decrease number of machines anytime. It's very flexible anytime. With a few clicks, you can increase or decrease number of instances. And to scale down or scale up to meet the requirement, it's basically the matter of few minutes with some cloud administrative knowledge. Definitely, you must have the cloud administrative knowledge. Then only you can scale up or scale down your resources. AWS enable you to select the resources of your choice. For example, operating system, programming languages, databases, web application platforms, and other services as per your requirement. What is the meaning of this? The meaning of this, so if you're using AWS, you can choose any operating system for your instance. You can use Windows operating system, Windows Server operating system. You can use Linux operating system, any any distribution of Linux, means Red Hat Linux, SUSE Linux, Ubuntu Linux. You can choose any operating system. Not only this, even you can choose Mac operating system. Even Mac also is available on AWS. You can use any programming language if you are a developer. If you are a developer, you can use any programming language. You can use Python, Go, Node.js, .NET, Ruby, Java, number of programming languages are there, and all these popular languages does support on AWS. Okay, next is databases. We have the different kind of databases. If you want to work with the SQL databases, it is available. If you want to work on NoSQL databases, it also is available, right? So it means you have a complete liberty to choose operating system. You're going to choose any programming language. You're going to choose any database. You're going to choose web application platform and other service as per your project's need. So this is completely flexible, right? We'll talk about the flexibility. It's a very big thing because it's highly flexible. Cloud computing environment is highly flexible. And this feature you don't see in your physical data center. Am I correct or not? Yeah. Am I correct or not? Am I too fast? I'm too fast, or it's okay? भाई लोग आपके डिस्क्रिप्शन का वेट कर रहा हूं मैं. The speed is okay, correct? Okay. Next is controlled capital expenditure. What is this controlled capital expenditure? Means the control of the cost control is in your hand. If you are using resources, you are paying. If you are not using resources, you are not paying, right? So if you have limited budget, so on the basis of the budget, you can design your infrastructure. On the basis of the limitation of budget, you can design your infrastructure. So I'm taking a little, I'm just taking you a little back. Think about an old and traditional way to run IT services. You do require servers, you do require storages, physical storages. If you creating your own physical environment in your company, so number of things you require. You need to require servers, storages, routers, switches, cables, databases, right? Power backups, heat and ventilation system. My goodness, it's expensive. And you need a number of people to manage all these things. So it's really very hectic, time-taking, expensive infrastructure, right? It was not easy to manage. It requires a lot of time as well as a lot of tactical efforts too. And you need an investment to create such kind of infrastructure. So overall cost of such infrastructure was too high. And to cut down the cost of existing physical infrastructure, cloud provides an excellent opportunity. You can now choose AWS services, which simply based on pay-as-you-go pricing model. And the service model is, so instead of, and you can design your own actually model. An AWS service, which simply based on, it is based on, what do you say? Pay-as-you-go pricing model. So means you will only pay for the used resources. So it's in your hand. So the cost management of the infrastructure completely is in your hand. So instead of heavy investment on hardware and software, cloud computing provides resources on the cloud, and you can configure them as per your need to deliver to your end user or to your clients, right? So cost is in your hand. So you can manage your infrastructure and you can control the cost of running infrastructure. Second is software update. If you have some experience to manage servers, if you have little experience to manage servers, you must be knowing that we used to manage repository servers or repository servers, and sometimes we called WC server for Windows operating system, right? So, but and it was really hectic as well as a very laborious thing to just update your existing operating system servers in your environment. AWS is now offer patch management capabilities. AWS offers you patch management capabilities, which is a part of System Manager. System Manager is a service in AWS. Okay, and if you are using System Manager, so with that patch management capability, you can automate your patching process. Means you can automate patching. You can update operating system on your running servers, right? And for that, you do not require any additional repository servers or WC server kind of things. You don't require. So this feature saves your time. It saves it reduces the risk of non-compliance. And time to time, as you know, why it is required, because the time to time software sees or finds vulnerabilities, right, which can be caused of security threats. And to fix them, software updates are essential. It is very important. So after every fortnight, after every weekend, we generally push updates on our operating system to fix all those vulnerabilities. And we are getting some updates on a regular basis from the vendor side, like from Windows or from Linux vendor. So, but this capability of patch management in AWS is free of cost. AWS is not charging anything for this feature, and you have not to manage any server for such management. So we have a system manager service in AWS. You can use that service to upgrade your operating system servers time to time, right? Next is stop guessing capacity. This is really interesting, and this could be a major factor people are joining cloud computing. So when you decide to run an application over the cloud, you design an infrastructure as per project need. And at the end of designing, you either end up sitting on expensive resources or dealing with limited capacity. But if you are working on cloud computing, you don't see the challenge, because cloud computing allows you to tune the infrastructure as per your need. You can define minimum and maximum capacity of the resources, which can scale up or scale down in a few minutes. Means if you want to increase number of instances, you have to define minimum and maximum number. So between this minimum and maximum number, on the basis of the conditions, the machines will increase or decrease automatically. If load is increasing, automatically the number of machines are increasing. If the load is decreasing, automatically the number of machines are decreasing. This way, your client will always find that the application or the solution you offer over the cloud is available to him without any downtime, right? And even large number of people, large number of clients, if we see the abrupt growth in incoming traffic, even at that time, this cloud computing is very useful, because automatically the number of resources will increase to bear that load. So we have not to think about how many machines will come. if the incoming traffic is increasing. So once the condition is implemented, once the auto scaling is implemented, it means it will manage automatically. So we learn everything here in this course, right? So second is data accessibility. What is the data accessibility? I'm talking about the data. We have the different kind of databases or data or data storages in AWS. We have flat storage, we have object level storage, we have block level storage, we have file system storage. So, and these storages has different purposes. So we will talk about the purposes of the different kind of storages, their services, their use cases, and the best practices, right? So I'm talking about the data accessibility. So data accessibility over the cloud is easy. It's cheaper and highly available for business team. One more thing, you can store any amount of data. You can store any amount of data on this storages. So let's say you have the data in, let's say, TBs or in PBs, and you want to upload in cloud. So you have not to think about how we can increase the size of the storage to upload the data. It is already there in their data centers, in AWS data centers, right? So you can simply upload your data. So you have not to think about how much data you have. You can upload all the data. The only thing is you have to pay for the used storage space. So data is accessible over the internet. Any amount of data can be stored. Now, any amount of the data can be replicated. Even the disaster recovery also is easy in AWS. So sometimes people say the data is not secure, why we should choose actually this platform to share the data or to upload the data. I tell you, because in such platforms like AWS, they provide you a security mechanism. If you are good at securities, if you know encryptions, if you know encapsulations, right, you can store your data. You can access your data stored over the cloud computing, use the internet connection from anywhere, first of all. And cloud computing security feature is on high priority for cloud computing providers. They understand this fact. And this includes protection of critical information from data leak, deletion, and theft. So feature like data encryption is available, and you can apply encryption on your transit data as well as on your rest data. So if you know how you can secure data over the internet, this is 100% secure. No one going to read the data. Okay, next is disaster recovery. So disaster recovery is a term or is a method or is a strategy to take the backup of cloud resources, including data, and means you can, this is a method to copy the data on multiple locations. If one location fails, the same data is available on another location. So such kind of facility or replication of your data or infrastructure is known as disaster recovery. So this provides data recovery and backup strategy, which is happened due to man-made or natural catastrophe. AWS provides services which enables the fast recovery of your configured IT infrastructure and data. On AWS, even disaster recovery also is very easy. So if we will learn same region replication as well as cross-region replication. Means if you have the data in one data center or in one region, So how we can replicate? Replication means it's an online replication. It's a live application. If somebody is writing the data at one place, the data will automatically be replicated on another place. So that how actually that replication does work, that we will learn. And this is the feature, this is the benefit of cloud computing. And but if you are running your own data center, let's say you are in New York and you have one data center, and you want to create another data center for disaster recovery, it means you have to double your investment. Am I right or not? You need to double your investment. So your own data center is quite expensive if you want to gain the feature of disaster recovery. But in cloud computing, let's say in AWS, it's not very difficult. Anytime you can achieve this benefit, right? So with a few clicks, you can replicate data from one location to another location. So this is a good thing, so that you don't see in your physical data center easily. So for that, you have to put a lot of investment and efforts, by the way. So next is competitiveness. So when you run a business, the product of the business is an ultimate goal. Okay. So how you would explain this? The product of the business is an ultimate goal. Let's say we have one company. Let's say we have a pharmaceutical company. And the pharmaceutical company needs two things. Now, one, they need infrastructure. They need the IT infrastructure, computer infrastructure, data center to run their business, right? Secondly, so their main product is medicines, to manufacture medicines, right? So they need to focus on the main thing as the medicines or manufacturing of the medicines. So the business houses needs to put all their efforts to maintain the quality and the products number of the product. So they need to focus on a particular product. And this way, if they are putting their effort on both sides in infrastructure, IT infrastructure and their product, so sometimes it makes your job more critical and more expensive too, right? But AWS says you just focus on your product or on your project, and you do not have to put heavy efforts to manage IT infrastructure, because you are using AWS, and AWS infrastructure is maintained by AWS, right? So you have not to put any efforts to manage AWS infrastructure. If you are on cloud computing, so this is a responsibility of cloud vendor. So they will manage their infrastructure. You have to focus on your project or on your product. So on cloud, you do not require heavy lifting of racks. You do not require heavy lifting of servers and other resources. So infrastructure, software, and platforms are just few clicks away on the cloud. Means what you need? You need machine, you can create. What you need? You need network, you can create. You need storage, you can create. You need replication, you can do. You need more machines, you can do. You need some automation process, you can do immediately. So everything you can do in a few clicks. So it is easy way, it is easy to use for everyone, and you will have better experience at low latency, right? So the latency also does matter here, right? So low latency means it's a good thing. Means at less time you are getting responses from cloud environment. So in brief, the cloud computing allows even smaller businesses to act faster than the big and established competitors. So it is possible for everyone these days to just behave like a good and established businessman. Even a single person, if you want to start your startup, you can create and manage high quality infrastructure over the cloud. Now it is possible these days. So this task is possible. So these are some benefits that people are using cloud computing. Correct or not? Yes, Vijay Pal. You have a question. Like AWS, India has how many cloud service provider? No, it's not Indian, by the way. AWS is global. Even in India, we have Azure, we have VMware, we have Pivotal, right? So AWS is a product of Amazon, right? Amazon. So Amazon Web Services. It's not an Indian product, right, Vijay? They have a center in India. So AWS, we have a center in Mumbai. Now they are just going to create one more region in India. Maybe in few couple of months, or maybe at the end of next month, you would see a new region in Hyderabad, right? Okay, guys. यहाँ तक की स्टोरी कुछ समझ में आई? Okay. Just a minute. Let me choose my whiteboard, right? Okay, no issue. We are creating a new board. Yes, Vijay is right. Every bank take daily backup, data backup to on data centers or in central branch. After cloud, it will be used for banks to store data as much as requirement, right? Banks are not using data centers. Still, all over the world, the banks are not using data center, for your information. They're having their own data centers. They are managing their own data centers for such data management. They are not sharing their details over the network. So this is not possible. But still, one thing is there, they are using internet to transfer, or they are using their own lines. Yes, Sumit. I'll share those PDF. I'll share my PPTs. I can share this board, right? And a lot of documentation are there. And I recommend you people to just see or study from AWS online documentation, because they are changing their documentations very, very frequently. So I do not want to share any material later on which can be claimed as an old material. So better to use updated material from AWS cloud documentation, and the rest PPTs and this drawing board, definitely whatever I'm just creating here, I will share with you. Okay, guys, now I'm here. Let me see. I'm starting a new topic, virtualization. What is the virtualization? Shall I start? So before starting a virtualization topic, so before start virtualization, we should understand what will happen if you are not using virtualization, right? So I'm creating a server without virtualization, and then we will understand the challenge. Then we will understand the challenges and why actually the virtualization is used, and what benefit you'll get if you're using virtualization, right? If you are facing some benefits, if you are gaining some benefits, then you are using virtualization. By the way, let's say I'm just typing here server without virtualization. The server without virtualization. Perfect. The server without virtualization. So let's say this is a physical server. This is a physical server. This is your physical server, or you can say this is a bare metal. You know what is a bare metal? Bare metal. Right. Bare metal means the physical machine. Only physical. It has no operating system. This is a physical machine that you just purchase from the market. So this is the bare metal. Let's say this is your physical machine. And the top of this, what you do, and this will have some configuration. This will have some configuration. Let's say the configuration with the configuration of the server. I'm talking about the configuration of the server. So let's say this machine has 24 core CPU. Is it possible? I'm talking about server. This is a server, right? This is not the desktop machine. This is not a desktop machine. This is a server. So the configuration of the service is 24 core CPU. So how many virtual CPU you have in one core? Let's say one core CPU you have. So how many virtual CPUs you see in one core? Sorry. Yeah, anybody? Anyone? How many virtual CPUs you see? You see 2 virtual CPU. Perfect. Hence, 2 virtual CPU. 2 virtual CPU. So it means if I'm talking about 24 core CPU, so it is equivalent to 48 virtual CPUs. Am I correct or not? So this machine will have the 48 virtual CPUs. And let's say we have 128 GB. We have 128 GB RAM on this. And let's say we have 4 high-speed network interface cards, and other settings are there, other configurations. So this is a very basic configuration. I'm explaining that this configuration we have on this server. In this server, we have this configuration. Perfect. So this machine has 48 virtual CPU, 120 GB RAM, and 4 Internic cards. So we have the 4 cards, 4 LAN cards we have. How many cards we have? 4 LAN cards we have, right? Let's say all these are LAN cards. All these are LAN cards. So this way, in this machine, we have 4 LAN cards. Perfect. Perfect. This machine has 4 LAN cards. Good. And on the top of this, we install an operating system. How many operating system you can install on the physical machine? How many operating system you can install on the top of this physical machine? Yeah. What's the answer? What's the answer? Only one. How much? Only one. So you install operating system. You install operating system. For example, you install either Linux or Windows operating system. So you install operating system on the top of this physical machine. Correct or not? Then you have some applications on the top of this machine. You run some application. Yeah, multiple applications you can execute on this. You can run multiple applications. Let's say these are applications, or you can say these are the applications. These are the applications. So this is the application we have. So you can have multiple applications. So you can, maybe you have 2 applications, 5 applications, 10 applications. So you have multiple applications, correct or not? So these are the applications. These are the applications. What I'm trying to explain you, that if you have even multiple applications, you cannot consume the entire resource this machine has. You cannot consume the entire resource the machine has. If you measure the performance of this machine, you will find that the 80 to 90% CPU is not being used, or CPU resource is free. Am I right? And you would find that more than 50%, you're gonna more than 50% memory is free. Memory is free. What is the meaning of this? It means you are wasting 80 to 90% your resources. You are wasting, you are not utilizing them because you don't have any method to consume the entire resource, because this operating system has a limit. Even if you are using Windows 19 advanced operating system, you cannot use entire cores. You have 48 virtual CPU, you have 24 cores. You have applications running, multiple applications, even then. So the resources, underlying resources are not being used properly. Is it clear or not? So the huge wastage is there. Huge wastage, right? Let's say this company, so this is the physical machine. So this is the physical machine. This is what? This is the physical server. This is your physical server. Let's say you want to provide some services to your client, and your client is asking for resiliency. Your client is asking for fault tolerance. Fault tolerance means if one machine fails, you must have another machine to provide the similar application, similar kind of facilities. It means you will create 2 similar machines to provide such facility to your client. Am I correct or not? Yeah. So means you are providing, your investment is now double. Your investment is now double. Let's say this is the primary instance. This is a primary server. Let's say this is the primary. This is primary, and this is a failover. Or you can say this is standby. This is standby, or you can say failover, right? So, by the way, your investment has been doubled because you need to purchase 2 similar servers to provide such benefit to your client. Am I correct or not? And can you see? In my one machine, I have 80 to 90% resources are free, but even though I cannot use because the model does not allow to use the same machine again. Because on one physical machine, I can launch only one operating system. So if you want a similar kind of a machine or similar kind of a configuration, you have to buy another physical machine to provide to your client. So guys, so your wastage is very high. In physical server configuration, your wastage is huge. Your wastage is high. And wastage means your money is not being used properly. Your investment is not being used properly. So this is the disadvantage if you are using physical server without virtualization. So we have a technology known as virtualization. We have technology known as virtualization. So we come here and now we are going to study the virtualization. What is the meaning of the virtualization? Virtualize, with the help of the virtualization, first of all, you can create a virtual machine. So virtual machine is a software computer. What is a virtual machine? Virtual machine is a software computer used as emulation of an actual physical computer. A virtual server operates in a multi-tenant environment. Means that the virtual machine, you can have multiple virtual machines run on the same physical hardware. So in this case, the computing resources of a physical server are virtualized and shared among all virtual machines running on it. And the architecture of the virtual server is little more complex than that of physical server. So thus, we are using some software for the virtualization, which is known as Hypervisor. Let's say this is the physical machine you have. Let's say this is the physical machine you have. You have a physical machine, right? I'm taking this diagram a little bit big. Okay. And this has some standard interfaces. Wow. So you will find that everything is good. Are you able to see it? Now, this is a physical machine. This is a physical machine. Okay. So we are not directly installing. So we need to use the advantage of virtualization. And in order to use the advantage of virtualization, we are using a software that you would install on this machine is known as Hypervisor. What is known as Hypervisor. Let's say this is a hypervisor. This is a hypervisor. We are using this hypervisor. We are using this hypervisor. This is a hypervisor. What is hypervisor? Hypervisor is a software which allows you to share underlying hardware resources among various virtual machines, between virtual machines. So this is a hypervisor. This is your hypervisor. So hypervisor allows you to create virtual machines, or hypervisors shares underlying resources between virtual machines. So this is responsible for virtualization. So virtualization is a technology, right? And hypervisor is a software-based, the software-based solution, right? So just like we have the 2 different kind of hypervisor, I'll tell you. So this hypervisor you will install on the machine, on the top of the machine, right? So we have no operating system on it. So very first, you can install on the bare metal. You can install on the bare metal, right? You can install on the bare metal. And on the top of this, you launch a virtual machine. Let's say this is the virtual machine. This is the first virtual machine. This is the first virtual machine. let's say this is the virtual machine. So this way you can create multiple and every virtual machine will have its own operating system. Please try to understand. Every virtual machine will have its own operating system. So this is the operating system. This is the operating system. Let's say this is the operating system. This is the operating system. Okay. And on the top of the operating system, we have what? We have applications. So if you want, you can run multiple applications. Let's say I'm creating application in red this time. Yeah, let's say this is the application. This is the, and you can have multiple applications on, not only one, you can have multiple. I'm creating only two here. I'm creating only two here, but you can have multiple applications, right? So what you're running application, and applications are running on the top of guest operating system. So this is a guest operating system. So your virtual machine's operating system is known as guest operating system. And this is your virtual machine. Virtual machine. This machine has configuration. This machine will have the configuration. Let's say this machine has, we are using 2 virtual CPU. On the top of this, we are using, let's say, 4 GB RAM, right? We are using 4 GB RAM. So every virtual machine can have a different configuration. So this 2 virtual CPU and 4 GB RAM, we are taking from this hardware. We are taking from this bare metal machine. So this is the bare metal, right? This is your bare metal. So this configuration we are taking from, so 2 virtual CPU for this virtual machine and 4 GB RAM we are taking from this. And who is sharing these resources? Hypervisor is sharing these resources. So this way, this is an independent machine. This virtual machine is an independent machine, and you can have multiple servers, multiple virtual machines. So every virtual machine is a server, right? So you can have multiple servers here. My goodness. So earlier you were using only one machine on the top of the same hardware. Now you have multiple servers. So isn't it this advantage? So this is the advantage or not? If you're using virtualization on the same hardware, you can run multiple servers, right or not? And their configuration could be different. Let's say on one you have 4 virtual CPU, you can have 8 GB RAM, you can have, let's say here we have let's say 12 GB RAM. We have 12 GB RAM because this server has a lot of resources. So this physical server has a lot of resources. Can you see? We have a lot of resources here. So on a same physical layer, using hypervisor, you can create multiple virtual machines. Even now you have a space to create more machines. So this is the advantage. Now on one machine, on the top of one machine using hypervisor, you can create number of virtual machines. So every virtual machine has its own operating system. So let's say you are using Windows Server here. You're using Windows Server here. So you're using Windows Server. So this is the Windows Server operating system. Okay. And let's say this is Linux operating system. So this is the Linux operating system, Linux. Here on this machine, let's say on this machine, I'm using the Linux operating system. Okay, this is Linux operating system. So any operating system you can use in this hypervisor. So you have multiple machines, and some machines from Windows operating system, some machines from Linux operating system. And all these machines are isolated, means they have no interconnection. So if you want to make a connection, that's okay. But every machine is a separate machine. Every machine is an individual machine. And it is running on the common platform, bare metal. and who is sharing the resources? So all the resources, इस machine के resource use हो रहे हैं यहाँ पर, इस machine के जो bare metal है ना, इसके resources इस virtual machine में, in virtual machines में use हो रहे हैं. No, if you need a backup machine, now on a same, let's say if you need a backup, let's say I'm just removing this from here. So Vijay, it's a very simple. Let's say you need a backup of this machine. So what you will do? You will create one more machine here, and you can say this is the backup. You can say this is the backup. Correct or not? So this is the backup. This is the backup machine. Let's say simple. So you have not to purchase this server again. So on a same server, you can have multiple virtual machines. So this way you can create large number of machines, large number of clients can be handled. Okay, and you can earn more money on the same platform using virtualization. And here your wastage has been reduced. The wastage of hardware has been reduced. So in that case, we must have a data center in this, and the data center we will have multiple blade servers, multiple bare metal servers. That's why we are using data center, right? So this is one thing. And let's say I'm talking about the data center virtualization. So what is there in data center? Before going into the data center, let me tell you about hypervisor. I was telling the hypervisor. So we have the two types of the hypervisor, right? We have the type 1. What is a hypervisor? It's a layer of an abstraction which is responsible to share hardware resources between virtual machines. Layer of abstraction. This is what? This is a layer of abstraction used to share hardware resource among virtual machines. Wow. One line definition, not exactly the one line. So in this line, you did complete everything. So this is a very simple explanation of hypervisor, how you would explain hypervisor. We have two types of hypervisors. The one hypervisor we are using in data center. We have the types of hypervisors. We have two types of hypervisor. Number one, type 1. So we are using type 1 hypervisors in data centers. We are using in data centers. Means the type 1 we are using in data centers. Okay, and it runs. So this type of hypervisors runs only on the bare metal. It runs on the top of hardware layer directly. Let's say if you see, this is the bare metal, this is the hardware machine, and directly on the top of the hardware you did install this hypervisor, right? So there is no layer between hypervisor and bare metal. Do you see any layer between the hypervisor and bare metal? Abhishek, Hans, Ramavtar, Sumit, Vijay, Vinod. Are you getting me what I'm trying to explain you here? Hello? Right? Okay. So type 1 hypervisor we are using in data center. It runs on the top of the hardware layer. And we have some examples. we have some examples like VMware, vSphere, ESXi. This is the name of type 1 hypervisor, or Xen hypervisor, or you can say MS, Microsoft. क्या नाम है Microsoft hypervisor का? Hyper-V, etc. So this way we have many more, right? So we are using, and then so in AWS, Xen and Nitro hypervisors are being used, correct? So in AWS, we are using Xen and Nitro hypervisors in their data centers. So this is example of type 1. Now talk about the type 2. So in type 2 hypervisors, this cannot be installed directly on a hardware layer. You install on the top of operating system. So you use type 2 hypervisor for development and testing environment, right? You are using it for, you use the type 2 hypervisor for development and testing. So it installs on the top of software operating system. It install on the top of operating system. It cannot be installed on bare metal. It can't be installed on bare metal, right? So this is the condition, and we have some examples. Any example? Let's say VMware workstation, the Oracle VirtualBox, etc. Few more are there, but these are two very popular, right or not? So we cannot use type 2 in data centers. We are using only type 1 in data centers, right? So if I would explain this type 2, we have a kind of infrastructure. Let's say this is your first of all, you have this layer. Let's say this is your physical layer. So on the top of this, you first of all have an operating system. You will have an operating system on the top of this. Let's say this is an operating system. Let's say this is your Windows machine. You have operating system first. You have an operating system first. Then you have hypervisor. Then you install hypervisor. Let's say this is the hypervisor. So what's the color, right? I'm taking, let's say this is the hypervisor. This is the hypervisor. Let's say this is the hypervisor. And now you create virtual machine. So I'm taking the virtual machine from here, not to create again. Now you create virtual machines. So this is virtual machine. You create a virtual machine, right? So this is called the type 2. We generally use in our laptops and desktops, right? This is a virtual machine, and this is hypervisor. This is the hypervisor. This is operating system. This is operating system. And this is your bare method. This is your bare method. And of course, this is your virtual machine. So this is your virtual machine. Yeah. Yes, Vijay. Type 1 where use, and type 2 where use. Okay. I did write very clearly, you cannot use in data centers. You can use in data centers. I did write here already. You didn't see it. I'm just writing in red. Okay. So type 1, the type 1 you can use in data centers. Perfect. And type 2 you can use in dev test. I already did write here. I think you didn't see it. Vijay, are you watching it or not? And their examples are written very carefully. The examples are written very carefully. For today, I think this is clear. And in our next class, we will start with AWS Global Infrastructure. So I know that, and we will increase even the speed also. But I think the concept is clear to you, right or not? The concept is clear or not? Now, in our next class, we have to talk about the data center virtualization first of all. So we will start with the data center virtualization. We will create a diagram of the data center virtualization and its component, and then we will continue. Please let me know. So you will remind me, we have to design a diagram of data center virtualization. Will it be okay? Today is 15th November, 15th November, and it was virtualization, right? Virtualization. So this is done. Yes, we have a recording of the last lecture. Vinod, definitely we have a recording of the last lecture. You can find the recording of the last lecture. You can talk to our team and you'll get this LMS access. Right, you'll get LMS access. Just a minute, I'm just going to share this document. So did I share the document in last class? Did I share any document in the last class? No? Just a minute. If not, so first of all, I have to create a folder first. The folder I'm creating, let's say, 8th November, networking, AWS weekdays. Okay. So November 2025. So I just create this. This is done. I'm uploading some content in this. I'm uploading the content. We have two files. Let me save this file. Save this file. Perfect. And these two documents. So first I'll upload, and I'm just going to upload the even you like. Where is that? The first class. Definitely. It's your mutual understanding, Vinod. Right? So this is the link I'm sharing. Let me. It is done or not? So I'm sharing the link. Yeah, I'm sharing a link. You use this link and just check, are you able to access these documents I did share with you? Working? Thank you, Hans. Okay, so we will continue next class tomorrow. Tomorrow evening, same time. Will it work? Same time, sharp 7 o'clock. Sharp 7 o'clock.